Marketecture Live is back and better than ever. Our first show was a sold-out hit with 450 attendees and an action-packed agenda. We even got an NPS score of 40, which means people would actively recommend it to their friends. We're back on October 27th in New York City, and the theme is the Age of Outcomes. We're deep diving on everything that makes great advertising accountable and measurable, with speakers like Eric Seufert, Dr. Mark Grether from PayPal, and Jenny Wall from VideoAmp. Plus, our popular AI startup showcase and a live recording of Marketecture Live. All that and no panels. Go to marketecturelive.com to register now. Early bird pricing ends September 2nd. That's marketecturelive, all one word, .com.
A word from our sponsors. Philo Ads brings performance-focused CTV advertising to brands of every size. With over 900 million ad impressions each month, no minimum spend, and a brand-safe environment, Philo Ads makes it easy to scale your campaigns with confidence. Ready to see how Philo Ads can work for you? Head to ads.philo.tv. That's ads.philo.tv to get started today. Welcome to the AdTechGod Pod, your window into the world of advertising technology and the people behind it. I'm your host, AdTechGod. Welcome to the AdTechGod Pod, where we speak with the women who drive the strategy in digital advertising. Today, I'm joined by Edina Kalamperovic, the SVP Retail Growth at Epsilon. Edina has worked at Publicis, Aquent, Mindshare, and Starcom, managing accounts like Kimberly-Clark and Procter & Gamble. Her background in strategy and media spans across retail, travel, and many, many other verticals. Edina came highly recommended from a mutual friend, so I really couldn't be happier to have her here. Edina, thank you again for being on the pod.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk today.
Same here, and thank you for the chat the other day. I really enjoyed just getting to know you overall. So thanks for taking some time out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Edina, you come from a different background than most of my guests. I usually work with or chat with a lot of ad tech people working at various ad tech companies, a few publishers. You really come from, an agency background and now working at Epsilon. Can you tell me how you got into the advertising industry, how you got into the space, and what brought you to, being an SVP of Retail Growth at Epsilon?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with, I think, my impetus into advertising. So, I'm first generation American, raised in Chicago. My parents are from Eastern Europe. When they came here, they said, we want to give you opportunity, but we don't really know how else to guide you. And so, I was very creative and, loved writing. And in college, I loved philosophy and I loved questions and I was very curious. In fact, my philosophy teacher said I should major in philosophy, but my parents would have killed me if I did that. And so I knew that I had to major in something that was business because I loved the idea of solving problems, asking questions. So medicine wasn't for me, although I have the handwriting of a doctor. I don't have the brains of a doctor. Wasn't somebody who was completely only numbers oriented, so finance and accounting. And so I landed on marketing, and I thought that to me was, the convergence of business, which I was interested in terms of how do you grow something? How do you take something to market? And then the creativity piece. And so I majored in marketing, landed at Starcom, really, really loved the opportunity from an advertising standpoint in terms of being able to touch and experience different clients. And I loved the idea of being able to think about, again, the psychology of how do you influence and talk to people and create an experience for people on behalf of a brand. And so doing that, across different brands on P&G, and then also being able to do that, I led the adult fem care business at Mindshare. That was just something that I loved from the advertising side. But what was missing for me was the outcome piece. I needed to know that I was making an impact. And so, when you get started in your career and you realize what is important to you, I realized that being able to have purpose, being able to understand the psychology, the human aspect of advertising, but also create impact, the business part of it, that was important to me. And I needed to take time to figure out how to do that, where that was. So I actually stepped away from advertising.
Blasphemy, Edina.
You need to, I think, step away.
It's good for you though.
What is
sometimes.
Distance makes the heart grow fonder. Because here's the thing, I can't do, you could, but I can't just do anything. I didn't want to just do anything. Usually when you're in advertising, you either stay on the agency side or you go on the sales side. That's usually what happens, right? Or you go on the client side.
Right.
And, the client side, I thought was interesting, but again, I loved the idea of diversity. The sales side, I can't just sell anything. I needed something that was important to me. I wasn't somebody who was at that time, programmatic was coming out and it was kind of this black box. It was about trading. The only outcome channel really was search. Search was the farthest thing from human aspect there was. And so I was like, I need to step away. And so what I actually did is I went to go help Fortune 500 companies build out other sides of their business, the UX, UI, content side of their business. And that was kind of the Aquent part where I helped from a staffing standpoint and learn a whole new side of retail. And I did that for 3 years. And it was really, really beneficial to really round me out as somebody who I think understood or could help and better understand clients from a holistic standpoint, not just from a media standpoint. But at that time, I realized I really missed advertising. I missed marketing. I missed solving those problems. And so I came across a company at that time called Conversant. And Conversant, was all about one-to-one personalization. And I was like, I got to figure out and understand what this is. And so I applied, I went in and they were like, yep, we are all about connecting brands with people and driving one-to-one personalization and also driving outcomes. And so they, the platform was end to end. It was, being able to, have a vast network of individuals in a privacy safe manner, being able to develop and create really beautiful creative on behalf of brands, being able to deliver relevant messaging at the right time, in the right place, and then being able to deliver results and then do all this really great analytics and insights that you could create and understand business, create business questions and really help clients do all of these things. And I was like, I have to work here. And so that's how, I went from, the advertising side to the ad tech side. And then, Conversant became Epsilon. Epsilon, became data tech and digital. Epsilon became acquired by Publicis. Publicis is where I used to work when I was at Starcom.
I noticed that. I'm like, wait, did she boomerang or was she just there during the... And then is Conversant still independent? No. Meaning... Yeah, it's part of Publicis, or did it completely roll under Epsilon?
It's so Conversant, the name changed, but it's Epsilon Digital now. So Conversant became Epsilon Digital and Epsilon is now owned by Publicis. So it's full circle for me in terms of, going back to the agency side, but just now on the AdTech, MarTech side. And now, it's like the best of both worlds where I oversee the apparel vertical across all of our apparel clients, really looking at helping them with data, our technology, and our digital offerings, all tied to really helping them get closer to their customer and driving those results.
A word from our sponsors. Let's be real. Planning across linear, CTV, and digital is no small feat. Targeting, buying, optimizing, measuring, it's a lot. That's why Nexen built Nexen U as an online course led by agency and publisher experts who are deep in the converged space every single day. They're here to help you get it right. Their biggest module yet, media planning and activation. It's now live and packed with expert tips, campaign walkthroughs, and a certification badge to prove your skills. Start learning today by going to u.nexen.com. Again, that's u.nexxen.com. It's funny. It's all those things that you just mentioned are all the things that, other agencies are trying to lean into now. But like Publicis was definitely ahead of the curve a little. In 2019, agencies weren't getting into that. I think that has a lot to do with the success that the agency has seen in comparison to some others. How do you feel your clients have adapted to bringing this type of identity and data availability to them compared to, where it was when maybe you first started? I think it was 6 years ago? I mean, it's probably a totally different conversation in 2015 compared to where it is today.
Yeah, it's definitely a different conversation. I think now it's the anchor strategy for many of our clients. I think that's the exciting part of what's new and what's a staple is that we have and are enabling our clients to have their customer truly be the center of their strategy. And that's something that they're excited about. That's something that they're leveraging and not having to sacrifice anything for it and being able to drive and really, do that with business results. So I'd say that, it's advanced, it's expanding, and it's something that is resonating and that they're seeing that there's a lot of value in, especially in, I would say a very noisy market where it's like you have to separate like the signal from the noise because, there's like so much newness coming out and there's a lot of distraction. It's like back to basics of like, there's so much technology and there's so many things that you can do and there's so many things that you can buy. I think that it can be easy to forget what is the most important thing. And the most important thing is your customer. And so it's like, how many degrees separated are you from your customer? And so how do you get closer to them? And how do you make sure that you can do that across all of the, paid, owned, and earned channels and make sure that that's orchestrated in a way where you've got a really close, really relevant, really personalized relationship that benefits the customer and then also drives your business.
Well, I mean, you touch up on something like the personalization is huge. Everybody wants more personalized ads and better campaigns that resonate with your audience. But the loyalty piece is also really important, and understanding that loyalty and utilizing that loyalty, if you want to call it loyalty data, is really important because they're a completely different audience than someone new that you're trying to bring in and capture. And so being able to deliver the right type of ads to people who are already loyal, I'm sure is super valuable to the brands that you work with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, knowing who you are talking to is the number one most critical thing, right? And understanding that loyalty is not just a program that you run, that it's a mindset and that it's an approach. It's a way of thinking, and it's a way in which you engage with your existing customers. And it's a way in which you're going to treat and engage with your new customers that come in is critical. It's absolutely critical. Again, we have so much choice. I mean, we're all consumers of something, right? And we have so much choice and we have so many more options of where we want to buy and why we want to choose the brands that we choose. And it is going to be those that understand us the most, those that are the most relevant, those that show up for us in the right way, in the right time, are the ones that are going to, win not only our wallets, but our hearts and our minds.
It's also, I would think, very important to also measure against all that, which is why I like the idea of, Epsilon being a part of a greater agency. Like the measurement aspect across all of digital advertising is sometimes very complicated. So being able to measure the increase in sales or understanding what the difference is between their online or brick and mortar purchases and being able to loop that all back and understand that, these are online shoppers, but within a store, or they're in store primarily, and sometimes they buy online. I'm assuming all of that is information that you can utilize to have a better experience for everybody.
That is absolutely a critical component. I always say to clients that I talk to, the two most important things are like the bookends. So it's the identity, it's understanding who you're talking to. And, of course, the pieces in the middle in terms of the personalization and all of those things. But then it's the measurement. It's the being able to understand what is the outcome. And that has become very fragmented and very hard to do. And one of the things that I highly value in terms of what we can do on the Epsilon side is closed loop measurement, which is very difficult because, as the digital landscape, to your point, is very fragmented. And so, being able to track and understand a whole individual across the open internet, message them, right? Being able to deliver personalized messaging across a variety of devices, and then being able to, once they can, influence a conversion, and then being able to track that, not only if it's online, but if it's offline, is pretty impressive. And that is what we're able to do for clients, especially in the retail space. It's huge. So being able to show clients offline and online conversions that not only we can show them from a closed loop standpoint, but that they can validate is impressive and is, I think, invaluable for clients in a day and age where measurement has, I'd say, become kind of like, it's become a challenge. And I'd say has become kind of like a good enough approach where it's like some of it I can see, which is good. Like maybe 40% of it I can see and I can say is real. And then maybe 60% of it is like approximate. And, my big thing is like, again, when I talk about being somebody who wants to drive outcomes for clients and who wants to, who looks at their money like my own money, you would never go to the bank and find it acceptable that somebody would tell you, your financial advisor would tell you that 40% of what you've invested is real, but 60% of it
sounds like crypto to me.
Yeah, right. Like you're not going to accept that, and I don't. And I always tell clients, like, I don't think you should accept that from a measurement standpoint either, because it's your money, and you should know what happened to all of it.
I mean, just on the crypto topic, not that I am in any way an expert on crypto, but I have no idea what's going on. And I've stayed so far from it because people are like, I bought for 1,000, now it's 2. Oh my gosh, I doubled, tripled, quadrupled. I'm like, I don't even understand how this works.
Kryptonite.
And I am not giving anyone my money if I don't know what the heck's going on with it. Like, I don't know what this wallet thing is, but like the key I'm going to lose, and I'm going to lose my money.
Exactly.
Well, elsewhere it's easy to get. From where you sit, and from the clients that you deal with, from the internal teams that you have conversations with on a regular basis, where do you think things are heading? Like, what is, retail is obviously a core focus, considering it's in your title. But where do you think things are heading as it relates to retail media or even commerce media? What's your perspective on it all?
I mean, I think retail media is the new emerging opportunity. I think, brands that can grow in that space, I think is, it's going to be fantastic as long as you've got the right partner in the right place. I think measurement is going to be, again, a big piece of that, of being able to make sure that you're going to be able to, again, have the right scale and effective measurement, and that there isn't waste, because it can be a cluttered market, right? I think that what I'm excited about and what I see a lot of eagerness from clients is this lean back into their customer and wanting to do more customer-based focus and wanting to figure out and lean into business outcomes and leaning away from what I'd say are traditional media KPIs. And so wanting to get back to those basics and understanding what they can do and how they can maximize their first party data to do that, and understanding that they're going to need to do that because it is so competitive. When you think about, the current economic state, right? There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot going on as it relates to, tariffs. Are they in? Are they out? And I think that, customers, again, have a lot of choice. And so retailers are realizing that in order to create that loyalty and to be that choice, you have to be relevant. And in order to be relevant, you have to know individuals and you have to approach it the right way. You can't spray and pray, and you have to be intentional and you have to be personal about it.
One of the biggest things that I think is always interesting is, during an economic boom or during a recession or during times of challenge, like whatever that scenario is, especially when it's at an economic level and not an individual personal level, like the consumer habits change so much. The purchasing habits change. The disposable income at times disappears. The necessities become a priority. They say chocolate and cigarettes go up in a recession because people are stressed out. So they're finding, that vice of theirs and kind of leaning into that. I'm curious to see how things transpire and how things change with so much like economic things going on, whether it's wars, involvement in wars, not involved, oil prices, inflation. I would love to be able to see just how that impacts people's consumer habits, and to see like, how does that change an individual that today may go buy, I don't know, Lululemon, but tomorrow decides I'm not buying Lululemon because I'm not paying $68 for a t-shirt. I'm just going to go buy a Hanes cotton t-shirt because it does the same thing. So I would love to see that type of data, especially over the last, year or so, that so much change has happened.
Yeah. And I think that those are the macro trends, right, that retailers are going to have to weather, because you're going to have individuals that are going to make those shifts. But then you are going to have people who are brand loyalists, no matter what. And that's where it's really important
you're right.
that that you leverage individual level knowledge and that identity-based targeting so that you can make sure that you are connected to them so that you don't lose them, so that you retain that loyalty. You're going to have people that, could make those changes, but that's where, you want to make sure you don't turn your back on those that do, right? You don't stop advertising, but you want to make sure that you stay relevant and that you can be agile in who you're reaching. And that's where being able to leverage, predictive AI, being able to understand real-time signals, again, of like, who are those individuals that you need to then shift to reach, if certain folks are not interested and others are, and how you kind of stay afloat.
Just general question for you, Edina, is, we talked about loyalty and the importance of loyalty for the brands that you manage. Just curious, is there a brand that you are personally loyal to, that you love, that you're like, I don't care if today I'm making $1 million and tomorrow I'm making $1, I will always buy this brand? And I'm curious as to why you would be loyal to it. And what about that brand has you going back for more?
I love this question. So number one, I am a shopaholic. I think I support our economy.
My wife.
Yeah, I support the economy through thick and thin. So I'm definitely one of those people. And, my husband carrying the boxes up to our place, he can attest to that. So definitely my number one brand that I love is Anthropology. I love their in-store experience. I love their, I've got their app. We're all very choiceful in terms of our mobile, our app space, right? Why I love them? I love their assortment. I mean, they hit it spot on in terms of their merchandise. Like, I'll even walk home from work, and if I'm having a bad day or not a great day, I'll just walk in because it smells great and it looks great and it picks me up. And so, the experience of walking in there picks me up. And so, yeah, I love Anthropology. I love them so much. Fun fact, in COVID, I worked from Montenegro, which is in Eastern Europe. It's on right under Croatia. Some people don't know where it is. And my husband would go back and forth from Chicago to here. I would order Anthropology, have it delivered to our home in Chicago, and he would bring it overseas. That's
commitment.
Much.
That's loyalty.
Yeah. Yeah. He also brought over a 20-pound cheese board.
It's funny because, so I do I don't shop at Anthropology, but I do like the way it looks. And there's one near my house where they have like a living room sitting area. And usually that becomes where I sit. And I was sitting there looking at the furniture and like the decor, and I'm like, God, this place is so relaxing. Like you can take your time looking at the clothes. But they've done a fantastic job with their in-store experience, like top notch for sure.
And that's hard now with a lot of stores have kind of lost that appeal, especially with like the shift to online and D2C. And so it's really, I think they're unique in that space and being able to preserve that experience and for people to want to go in. So kudos to them.
Edina, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for taking this call at the time that you are in right now. So I appreciate it. And thank you again for being my guest.
Thank you. This was wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the AdTechGod Pod, a podcast for the people, about the people. Stay connected with me for more insights, trends, and interviews in the realm of AdTech. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so follow me on X, Instagram, and connect with me on LinkedIn. Don't forget, ATG Slack community has insights, networking opportunities, and jobs. Keep the conversation going and stay at the forefront of AdTech innovation.